How did you become involved with the Montana Meth Project, and what would you say is the biggest challenge about your job?
Okay, so my name is Amy Rue. I'm the executive director of the Montana Meth Project. I have been in this position going on 14 years. And I first came to the project to help kind of bridge the gap between a private billionaire that had started the Meth Project with his own funds
Oh, wow.
and trying to bridge that gap to allow for public support and a more broad-based campaign that would be supported by everyday Montanans. To create a large-scale messaging campaign, we had to buy billboard, television, print, radio. So we had to do these very, very traditional and expensive ways of reaching the public and making them aware of this campaign and letting them see it. So you can imagine the expense at that time of putting together a campaign. We were running annually about $5.5 million a year just in getting and reaching large-scale saturation level messaging.
What do you believe is the biggest cause or problem for growing rates of meth usage here in Montana?
It's been touted by the Department of Justice nationally, the U.S. Department of Justice. Methamphetamine right now is the highest availability, the highest purity, and in some areas, the lowest cost it's been in 15 years. Roughly 2007, 2008, Montana had passed a law that removed pseudoephedrine, which is one of the precursors used in making meth at home. Everybody thought that was a great idea. Let's get those precursors out of the people's hands so that, we don't see the trailers blowing up and people making meth in a Motel 6 or in the shake and bake method. Those problems all went away. What it did, though, is it changed the supply model in Montana. And it opened up this entire opportunity for Mexican grade meth. And cartel meth is upwards of 95, 98, some cases 99% pure, because they're made in super labs and brought to Montana. And of course, because it's being produced in Mexico, that's also dropping the cost and, making it more available to more people.
So what would you say are the costs and benefits associated with your policy objectives?
Well, the costs and benefits, we have nearly $60 million of one man's money. There are numerous families, foundations, corporations from Montana that have supplemented that income. I mean, tens of millions of dollars in addition to that, of all the Montanans that have come together. Only once have we ever received public funding from the state of Montana, and that was back in 2007. And when we got $1 million, we had done an analysis of the cost of meth in Montana, which is talking about the costs of incarceration and fixing people's teeth that are in the women's prison, and childcare and child endangerment cases, and all of these things, people being put into foster care. I mean, it just ripples down. I believe that because it was started as a private 501c3, a private nonprofit, and that we took extreme chances and very avant-garde approaches to advertising and communication strategies, I think that because it was done with private money, people kind of withheld some of their criticism initially, because you would never, in this day and age, get approval to take some of the advertising risks that we've taken were it publicly funded.
So this, to me, is so surprising how much bigger it is than I feel like most people actually know about. It's huge. This is
and I also,
huge.
I also think there's the public perception, because you see it out there and you see it all over Montana, that this has to be publicly funded. That, why are our taxpayers going to put these, gritty ads up on, Highway 90 with a toilet bowl? Some of these ads have been criticized for how raw and graphic and cutting edge they have been. But likewise, we've also won incredible advertising accolades and worldwide recognition for those ads. We've also, as you may know, launched 7 other states that follow the Montana model. And likewise, Montana, in its first 2 years of inception, had recognized a 42 to 45% reduction in first-time meth use. So that was kind of our benchmark. Could we replicate this project in these other states and expect the same results? Idaho dropped 56% in their first 2 years, and Arizona dropped 65%.
How have the strategies of Montana Meth Project impacted this problem, both short-term and long-term, and how is it advancing? I know you kind of talked about that a little bit already, but where do you see the future of the project going?
Well, I think if you look at some of our digital resources that have been developed, we come from a tech giant. I think we're, even with this outbreak of COVID and this pandemic that we found ourselves in, we have over 170,000 followers. That is probably third in the state to MSU and UM. And we're a nonprofit. We are a statewide, private nonprofit. We're not the Boys and Girls Club with national affiliations and a big marketing machine. We are, made in Montana. And then what's so important about it is, again, trying to spur these peer-to-peer conversations. I can send it to you. And now it's Amy talking to Kennedy. Well, I think the short answer is I hope the drug dealers are the ones losing.
Oh, for sure.
I think Montana, the state of Montana, is the biggest recipient of these charitable dollars and these philanthropic efforts to create and stir real conversation about the risks of meth. I think we have made it very everyday conversation that we talk about meth in our state, that we have these conversations with each other, with our parents, with our peers. Because I do think the Meth Project advertising and outreach campaign, whether it's Paint the State, or our sponsoring of different rodeo competition, different athletic events at the University of Montana or Montana State. We've really been, pretty well woven through the fabric of Montana. And, when you look at these beautiful mountains and stunning rivers and all these wonderful outdoor activities we enjoy, you really need to just look around and say, holy cow, if it can happen here, it can happen anywhere.
Do you have any thoughts on modifications or improvements for the project? And what can be done for the process and outcome to be more equitable, sustainable, or fair?
A challenge we always face is real, true grassroots fundraising. And it's getting everybody, you and me included, regardless of your capacity to give, we need everyone to feel that the Meth Project is theirs. It's easy to step aside and say, a couple big families have covered this expense. But for it to really be a grassroots campaign, we would like everyday Montanans. So as we celebrate our 15-year anniversary, we are going to be rehashing and reminding everybody in the state about all of this iconic imagery. Where were you when the laundromat ad came out, or the girl that's in the bottom of the shower? To make people kind of trigger themselves saying, wow, I know all of this. I know all of this content. So I think going forward, we're going to continue to be really smart and strategic about how to preserve and maximize the private dollars that we have and make them go as long as possible and as far as possible. And we'll do that with existing and new digital strategies. But, obviously with COVID and this pandemic, a lot of the personal outreach pieces have been amended or actually canceled for the year because we're not sure what we can plan for. But we look forward to a time when we can return and people can, get out and really have a personal experience with us. It's certainly a memorable campaign.